Hi, Heidi ho, happy Friday. Welcome. What's up? What's shaking? What's going on? Let me tell you what's going on over here. So yesterday was the final day of school for a certain child that lives in my house. And well, howdy. Nice to see you. It's been a while. Yeah, yesterday was the last day of school for a certain child that lives in my house. So now it's off to high school with her. What happened? How did we get to this timeline? I don't understand. This is not cool. It is not right. But here we are. Here we are. And I'm not a fan. Yeah. Yeah, I did. How's that feeling? Well, if the body wasn't trying to make up for the fact that I thought I was too young for too long, I guess this will add to it.
Drink your water! Unclench your jaw!
All right.
Take your meds! Eat something yummy, motherfucker!
Iced coffee and cookies. And even better yet, brownies, because that's what the child wanted to do to celebrate today, I guess, was to make brownies. Yeah, that timed out rather well, didn't it? So yeah, that's what's going on here. How about in your department? What's going on for you kids? What is shaking? I want brownies. Yeah, she just pulled them out of the oven about 10 minutes ago. It was as I was sitting here prepping. Yeah, brownies.
I just wanted to be a real squirrel.
Nadia _ 269
Uh-oh.
wants some life advice from Jisa.
Jasa, you've been summoned. You have been summoned. Somebody has played a card.
Greetings. It is I.
It is
The
you.
child.
The child. The child.
It is
A card
I.
has been played. As and we want this from the perspective of you now going off into high school. Nadia would like some life advice from you.
All right.
Oh, wow, she grew. You don't fucking say.
I have the major urge to make a joke one, but also to make an actual life advice.
Well, I will take both. Or either. Your choice.
I'll do both.
Dealer's choice.
Always go to the bathroom. If you need...
When you need to go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
So, if I had to piss right now, that means just go to the bathroom? That was very open-ended.
Oh, yeah. It's true. Always go to the bathroom. Okay. And for the actual life advice.
Excellent advice.
For the actual life advice.
Okay.
Prioritize the foods that are good for your health over foods that are meant as treats. If you were to choose between vegetables or candy, you should choose the vegetables first, not the candy later.
That's actually very solid sound advice. Now, this is coming from someone who also, the majority of her life, has always prioritized veggies.
One of my favorite foods is cucumber.
It's true. You should see what this kid will do to a cucumber. Chop, 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 and it's gone.
Murder it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I murder the cucumber.
Yeah, never pass up the opportunity to use a bathroom. It's probably more accurate. Eat veggies, not brownies. There you go.
I literally just made brownies. How could you?
It's because I told them all that You just made brownies.
Now I'm a little bit mad
Now you're a little mad?
at Yeah.
Well, thank you for your life advice.
You're welcome.
This has been life advice from the Jelly Bean. Ta-da! Brownies are permitted. There you go. You've been given permission. Honey roasted carrots. I do love honey roasted carrots. They're right up there actually with buttered dill carrots. I do love those lots. Lots and lots and lots. Oh shit, Jasa. Do you know if is there chicken in the freezer up here? If there is, can you take it out? I meant to do that before I started. Is that a yes? Okay, put it in the nuke. Or just sit it in there so the dogs don't get it. Thanks. All right. Make veggie brownies and have veggies and sweets at the same time. That's true. That is very true. I have water. Happy now. Yes. Yes, we are. Let's see. Happens here too. Pickles are my favorite fruit.
Do you want a brownie?
What's that, babe?
Do you want a brownie?
I want to say yes, but I also want to save it for the self-care break.
Alright.
So I'm gonna say no, but not in a disrespectful way. More of in a way that I don't want to eat on stream. I don't like doing that.
Also, I would not have taken that as a disrespectful if you said no.
Fair enough.
Why would I?
I will get one. Trust me. All right. Eat veggies, not brownies. Pickles are my favorite fruit. Excellent. Never pass up an opportunity to go to the bathroom. I will try to remember that. You could have said not yet. I could have, but I also totally tripped over my lips and thoughts. And I felt the need to over-explain myself. Come at me. Yay! Perfect. You already got out a brownie for me. That means for anybody, if you need to get meat out of the freezer, do it now or suffer later. Yep. Like I said, I had intended to do so before I started, and yeah, I totally forgot. Because I was running out of time and trying to set up all of the things. And I don't know if, like, the Facebook thing is even fucking working right now, or if it's not, or what the deal is. I don't know. Whatever. We'll let her buck for now. Trip over things too. Twisted ankle, bruised heel. Yeah. Most likely you have some skill language regression. Almost, right? Right? You like that topic? I thought you might. I was kind of digging around for something last night. So I passed out in my chair again last night. There we go. Okay, so apparently it is working, but I guess it's slow. Whatever. It's kind of like me. Anyway. So yeah, I passed out in my chair again last night, and because it's been a fucking messy few days. But yeah, so I know. I had a chair nap, yep. And then I got up and hit the bathroom, and then, you know, I didn't pass up that opportunity. And then I went to bed because I figured, you know, it's probably a good idea to, like, actually crash out. And then I, like, tossed and turned for about 3 hours. So it was not a happy boy. But whatever. Anyway, shall we get to the point? Yeah, let's do that. I hate when that happens. Yeah, me too. It happens far too often for my liking. So anyway, yeah, all of the usual hellos, hey, howdies, and how you doings and all that shit. I'm glad all of you are here. Today we have a topic that was requested by Daboose. At least I'm pretty sure it was of us, if I remember. But yeah, so because this one came from the community, I always want to do them justice. So skill regression and skill loss are things we're going to be talking about today. And yeah, it was, yeah, that's what I thought. Been having a lot of couch naps since you got a new couch a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm going to burrito a king-size quilt. Had a dream about being tied up and not being able to move. I don't know if that's stuff that Angie wants to use for a sequel, or I don't know. Doing, sleep Saturday night before last. No mass that night. Could not breathe for shit. Didn't stay asleep for more than an hour. Yeah. I cannot relate to that because I don't have that machine. I did a sleep study earlier in the year, and yeah, it turns out that I don't have like sleep apnea or anything like that, so you can't sleep without yours. I hear that actually quite a lot. Now it's funny that I talk about that and then I have the urge to like do a sniffle because the weather has been doing this shit again. So like Jasa and I both have, she's got a bit of a little bit of a scratchy throat, but she's also a little stuffed up. I'm a little stuffed up now too. So I don't know, just fitting. Anywho, so yeah, skill regression. Aye. Yes, but did you like it? That's a very important question. We don't kink shame around here. We kink question. Oh, I don't know. I don't recall them telling me. Apparently it wasn't bad enough that I needed to be alerted about it. And now, I'm sure I could look it up on my med chart, but I hadn't. Because it was not anything I ever thought to do, I guess. I suppose. But yeah, anyway. Alright, let us get to topic before I go wandering way too far out. Okay, again, what we're going to talk about today is skill regression, skill loss, what it is, why it happens. And actually, there was a video that I had meant to get ready, and that was one thing that I forgot to do. But that's okay, I can do that on the break. It's also going to include what you can actually do when you notice that your brain and body can't do something that it used to be able to do, essentially. So we're going to get into the science. We're going to get a little bit personal. I'm going to try not to spiral while we do it, because this is something that has hit me quite a bit. So yeah. As always, remember, nothing I say is medical advice. I am not a doctor. I am not a proctologist. I am not... Well, that was a shitty joke. I'm not a professional. I'm a coach with lived experience, and all of you have lived experience too. So, if we talk about something today that... how am I going to put this? Well... As always, if we talk about something today that you feel like applies to you clinically, then you know what to do. Go see a professional. Cool? Cool. Alright. Dream was mixed. Waking up was not great, since I actually had to fight to untangle myself. Ugh. Let's see if it's a bit too tough for my brain today. Oh, okay. Fair enough. God forbid we talk about lived experience. Yeah. I kid. Anyway. So, before we get into it, has anybody actually noticed a skill that they used to have that they feel is a lot more difficult now after, you know, something like a diagnosis or a realization or a discovery or what have you? Anything small... Something like that. I found that for me, let me see, because there were a couple that I kind of tripped over. Well, one was walking, but that had nothing to do with that. I think one of the bigger ones that I really struggled with was, well, with it was holding the mask in place. That's for damn sure. Lesson 5 is no sleep apnea at all. 5:14 is mild. General moderate. Over 30 is severe. Oh, so mine was under 5. According to what she had showed me, she showed me the waveform information. And yeah, mine was like just about non-existent. No, she told me it was like one of the cleanest samples that she had ever seen. Now, I did not know how to take that at the time. I guess I still kind of don't. Hoi, child of wolves. All right. I might have house soon. As in, like, Dr. House? Oh, I'm back again. In fairness, I didn't know that you had left. So, welcome back. Heidi-ho. Alright, I am going to ever so quickly here because I don't know if you guys are actually, like, answering questions or shit. So what I'm going to do... I'm just going to quickly look up and see if I can find this. No, that is... Okay, yeah, I think that might be it. Alright. Anywho. Whoop. I gotta get all my windows back in place now that I found the thing that I was trying to find. What are we talking about today? We're talking about skill regression. I looked at a house for rental today. It works for everyone. Okay. I don't know who all is involved with this, but cool. Alright, so what is skill regression? That's a very important question. I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. Skill regression is not the same thing as forgetting. We do more than enough of that on our own without having any kind of regression at all. Basically, it is a loss of reliable access to something that your brain or your body could have done before. So, shocker, are you ready for this? Somebody mark it down on the calendar. It exists on a spectrum. From temporary, that being stress-induced, to persistent, and that be neurological change over time. It is documented in autism research. It is documented in ADHD literature. In MS, I found out. In trauma, and in normal human stress responses. So it's not rare. It is not shameful. And it is not the same thing as getting worse in some permanent, catastrophic kind of sense. Usually, asterisk. So, burnout regression is the first one we'll talk about here. Like not being able to dunk on fools. Getting out of shape and not being able to dunk on fools anymore. Theoretically, if you got back in shape, you could dunk on fools again. That's very basketball specific. Sewing machine, the only thing I can think of is top of our head. I have to keep looking things up on YouTube, how to press the machine or what have you. That was interestingly specific. I can't speak to that one. I have an example. a video that I'll show you guys after the break, rather. That it's one that I have in mind, but again, I forgot to get ready because, haha, reasons. Anyway, so yeah, as I do this, shit, how did I do that again? Well, for me, and I don't think this is related to it, but it's an example that I do use of just how forgetful overall we can be. And that's that there have been many times that I've had to, like, say for an example in like music production, I forgot how to do this one thing, this one effect, how to make it happen, right? Or in using After Effects, I forgot how to, add this lighting effect or whatever else. So I have to look it up on YouTube, and then I forget about it within an hour anyway, kind of thing. So the next time I want to do it again, I have to look it up on YouTube again. Is it the most fun thing in the world? No, of course it's not. But there I am.
So it's like me with knowing how to tie my shoes. I never figure out how to. And I would forget.
Okay, what's that, mumbly?
It's like me with tying my shoes. Every time someone teaches me, I always forget and never learn how to properly.
You would tying your shoes?
Yeah.
Yes, you have always struggled with that. It's true.
I just thought that what you were talking about reminded me of my struggles with tying my shoes, so I thought I should mention it.
Well, I mean, that's kind of on topic.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It could be skill-based. Like debate, out of shape contacts. Well, I guess there's that. But no, this is more thinking more neurologically affected. Not saying that wouldn't necessarily be, but whatever. You get where I'm going. Okay, so burnout regression was the first one I was going to mention. So that's the autistic burnout kind. The document that I have pinned at the top, I do believe is the correct one that I'm pulling this from. So it is a loss of previously held skill, including language, executive function, and social capacity. It's not regression in the infant development sense. It's indie kitty. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, it's not regression in the infant developmental kind of sense. It's your nervous system saying, I've got nothing left, so I'm pulling back resources. In that kind of way. The stress and overwhelm regression. So ADHD and a lot of other neurodivergent type brains under high cognitive load tend to lose working memory first, then executive function, and then social filtering. So it looks like you've forgotten how to do things that you know how to do. You haven't. It's just that your bandwidth has essentially kind of like lose access to a skill because of depression, and it makes you unable to pursue your desire to keep a skill up. I can't speak exactly to that. Depression and stress can be a factor for it. I've had this too. Excellent, good job. I need to show that to my husband because I'm noticing that when he burns out. Jace have hypermobility in her hands. I know having even some hypermobility can affect those things such as tying laces. I don't believe so. I've had stress-related regrets. I think everybody has had stress-related regrets. Regression, like typing skills. Okay, then yes. I have had both. No, actually, I can't say that. I've got MS-related typing skills. Intro's about to end, and all the customers. Of course, because all the customers. Had some stress regression today. 100% be neurological because for skill loss, in the context of depression, is the inability to derive pleasure from things you want. Yes, that is correct. I don't think I looked directly into that, though. Let me make a note. Just to see if I can find any actual direct connection to that. Anhedonia. Regression. There we go. All right. Good. Don't look into that. All right, I won't. Have a hard time speaking at work. All my skills for house health of any sports systems I build up. Yeah, reading is apparently one for me today that I'm having trouble with. And now I get a phone call from the MS clinic. Stand by. Or I can do that standard fucking bullshit where they phone you up and then they give you an automated thingy anyway. Let the pleasure to drive you to lose motivations or executive function. Could even struggle with the actual task itself. Yes, but I don't think that's exactly what we're looking at currently. Illness-driven. Sorry, just checking my note here. Now I don't fucking remember. I guess we'll find out together. Let's do that. I assume the science has already begun? No. What do you mean, science? Do you mean the part where I talk about the science, or the part where they're actually doing the science? Because the science has already begun, yes. If that's the case, some of it is pinned up at the top of the chat. Today's lesson? No, I'm talking about what we're going to be talking about. Consider this the table of contents, I guess. Okay, so let me see. The stress, overwhelm. Okay, so ADHD and neurodivergent brains. Cognitive load, what you forgot to think. Okay, so we talked about that. Scaffolding collapse. So picture that in your mind if you can. Once we get to the table of contents, yeah, if I stop fucking diverting my gaze over to the chat, then maybe I'll actually get through it. But no, that's my own fault. So anyway, scaffolding collapse. This one is under-talked. A lot of neurodivergent people. And first off, it does sound painful. Yep. A lot of us neurospicy folks, first off, know how to use their lips to speak the language that they grew up on. But they have skills that only work because of a very specific support structure around them. Does that sound like you? Lose the structure, the skill goes with it. So this shows up in hard life transitions, such as a new city, a job change, relationship ending. Suddenly you can't cook for yourself and you don't know why. Things like that. People skills attached to masking ability. Sometimes. The call of the outs has already started. Forgot where you are, huh? Illness driven. Such as MS. Chronic illnesses. Long COVID is another one there was study on. Actual neurological or physical changes that affect skill access. So this is different from the others because the mechanism. I'm all about making up new words. The mechanism is physical. It is not purely psychological, but the emotion response looks about the same. Developmental and age-related. One that we're all going to end up running into. Not common to talk about in neurodivergent spaces, but it is real. Obviously, skills that were compensated by youth or energy or specific environmental conditions, and they don't always survive life stage changes. My inability to word the words. Once again, on full display. Anyway. Use it or lose it? Pretty much. Feel that in so many ways, and I'm only 32. Yeah. Well, and there are some of us that have to deal with shit like this at a bit of a younger than preferred. If preferred is even the word we want to use there. But, yeah, younger than we would like. Absolutely. Right? Like, you know, did I want to more or less lose the ability to walk around my house before the time I turned 50? Nah. Nah, I fucking didn't. But, here we are. Right? Something like that. Who are you talking to? Talking to an ant? Okay. Your aunt is in Calgary. Anyway, sorry. Anyway. Sorry, my daughter threw me right out the window there. Anyway. So which of these do you feel like resonates with you the most? The burnout? The first one. Burnout, scaffolding collapse, the illness, something else. What do you think? So just to recap in case you missed it. First one was burnout regression. Second was stress or overwhelm regression. Third is the scaffolding collapse. 4 is the illness driven. 5 is the age related. 6 is moonlight tree. Hey. Gets table ready to flip. Uh-huh. But anybody have any specific ones that they can think of? Is all of the above an option? I mean, if you want it to be an option, then okay. I suppose then I guess it can be. I don't think I understand yet, so I can't answer. That's fair. For me, I'm gonna say number 4, obviously. Burnout. All it's possible long COVID related and it's happened about the same time as the burnout. Scaffolding, stress, and illness affect me the most. I heard something at some point. I don't know. All right. I mean, that would make sense. How many times did you call yourself out writing this? Mind your fucking business. That's all I'm gonna say to you. Mind your fucking business. That's what we're gonna say. Let me see here. Do I have any? I do. That answers it. Uh-huh. Yeah, the first commercial is going out to you. First commercial is absolutely going out to Nadia. Let me see here. Not that one, not that one. Not that one. This one here. I just want to see if this is the correct video. And then maybe we will have a gander at it. I'm just going to mute the tab ever so quickly. It's from 2 years ago, so it seems like it is... Yeah, that seems about right. How long is this one? It's about 3 minutes. Okay, that works. Alright, here's what we're going to do. I will put a snooze on this. I will shut off the studio mode thingy there, and then we will go into here, where I will pause this, give you guys the play-by-play on what I'm doing, apparently, because I guess that needs to happen. I'm going to unmute the tab here so that we can all listen to it together. This, our good friend Alex, yeah, this, I thought about this when...
Let's talk about...
when I was looking up the information on this one. So, I just want to make sure that the browser audio, let's crank that shit up a little bit.
Neurological pruning and skill regression. Now, if you have ADHD or autism or PTSD, these are things that are very relevant to what's going on in your life. Say you have a major breakthrough in therapy, or say you have a major shift in life, like maybe getting your diagnosis and you're working on not masking anymore, or maybe you get a new job where you have to learn new skills, or maybe there's a major shift in your own personal life, like perhaps you go from being the provider to having to be a caretaker for a partner, and there's a major shift. You might notice something called skill regression, and this has to do with neurologic pruning. The way that the brain works is there's like all these different tendrils coming off of like multiple trunks, and when we have a major change, sometimes those areas can just get pruned. That means that certain aspects of things are removed from your life, like say when you have a breakthrough in therapy, but then there can be other factors that are associated with that survival mode or that experiential mode in your life that are attached to that learning pathway, and those get pruned as well. This is why when young children will have a major shift in life, like say starting school, they might lose the ability to speak. This is very common with autistic kids, or a milestone that they've already achieved, like potty training or writing, can just disappear just like that. It can be very frustrating for the providers. Well, it's because, and for the kid as well, obviously. It's because the brain is associated with various things, and whatever skills they learned that went along with that when they had that major change, those things got pruned, and now they have to regrow in a different pathway. That doesn't necessarily mean that we have to relearn everything about that skill. It just means that sometimes parts of that skill are not there, and we have to find other neural pathways for our brain to link those skills to, like a positive pathway, because the brain is always rewiring. Neurons that are firing are always rewiring. This is something that I learned in college, and this is something that I learned in my trade. Our brain is constantly rewiring itself, and skill regression is something that kind of goes along with that whenever we have like a major change or a major breakthrough. So if you have those issues, if you have those things, remember that it doesn't have to be permanent. It's just something that you have to be patient with yourself, and that you have to be able to kind of not necessarily relearn, but like redevelop that skill, like learn a different way to do it so you can attach it to a new neural pathway. Anyway,
so one of the things that I kind of associate with this, now if you think about it this way, okay, if you are using your GPS, you're in a city that you know pretty well. Maybe it's not your hometown, but you're in another location that you know reasonably well, and the route that you were taking, that you would normally take, if they have construction on the main artery road, okay, this would mean that you would have to find a detour around. You would have to, connect from the one pathway in an alternate method to back to the pathway, right? And go around that area that was pruned. That's the way that I associate it visually in my mind, is essentially taking a detour and learning all of the things that you're going to need to learn in order to fashion that new pathway, kind of like what he was talking about there. So that is something that we will get onto a little bit later. But in the meantime, it is that time for a self-care break. So why don't you guys grab yourself some water or a snack or pet the dog or go eat a brownie or something like that. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes where we will continue with what is it? We already talked about the what is. We're going to get into why neurodivergent brains hit this harder.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Anybody feeling called out? Yes.
Other people know it. It's the underground motion. Bass. It's a potion. Body's in motion. Sweat and devotion. Ride the emotion. Take another hit. Got my fix. Overdosing. Got that underground sound. Sound, got that underground sound. Got that underground sound. The beat. The beat goes on. Goes on. Everybody move, everybody move, everybody move.
Nonsense, a wizard shows up precisely when they mean to. As does a librarian, I guess. So yeah, there. Apologies, I was just taking my daughter's advice. Alright, anyway. Continuing on. Hi, Chaos, what's going on? Now that you have food, do you feel better? Is everything right in the world now? Does the world look wonderful from here? I don't know, I say shit. Welcome to our wonderful discussion topic today. Topic of discussion today? Sorry, those words did not make sense coming out of my face. Anyway, where we're discussing skill regression and things like that. So yes, as I was saying before we took our little break there, the way that I kind of view it is by associating it with trying to get from one location to another, using your GPS, where there is all of a sudden an unmarked construction zone, and then you have to find your way around. Eating and yes, I was grumpy and my shoulder hurt, but now my shoulder just hurts. I can relate to that all too well. This shoulder here is still just fucking hammering on me. I don't like it even a week and some later. And do I feel like my legs are full of wet cement? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Am I a fan of that? No, I'm not. Alrighty. So, skill regression. Why neurodivergent brains hit this harder? The honest answer is that neurodivergent brains are often working at a higher baseline load to begin with. So let's take a walk through the little mechanism and how this all works. First off, masking is expensive. Yeah? Can we all agree on this? I'm pretty sure we can. So if you've been running a background process that translates your natural behavior into something that is a lot more socially acceptable, that costs working memory and executive function around the clock. So think of it like this: when the bank account is empty, the first thing that goes is the stuff that was costing the most, basically, which is often the strategies that were making you look functional, things that you were overcompensating for. So there's that. There is the sensory processing overhead. So if your brain is processing more sensory input than a neurotypical brain, which it is, but if that neurotypical brain is in the same room as you, is it in the room with us now? Yes, it is. You have less left over for everything else. So your skill performance is like downstream of available resources. When the bank is empty, max out, get another credit card. Wouldn't it be nice? Sadly, that's not how it works for us. There is the shame accelerant. So this one, like so many others, is not talked about enough. So when us happy neurospice people notice that a skill is slipping, there's often an immediate shame response. What? Is there really? No, I don't say. Yeah, I do. I do say that. And of course, that shame is not neutral. Shame drives things like avoidance. So avoidance means less practice. Less practice means that you can hang up on the automated fucking phone call that's coming in. And I had no shame in doing that, believe you me. Anyway, where was I? Okay, yeah, so the shame drives your avoidance. The avoidance means that you are not practicing this any further. Less practice means that the skill erodes faster. And the shame doesn't cause the regression, but it makes it stick longer, if that makes sense. There are fewer neurological backup systems in specific areas. So this, I want to say this carefully so it doesn't get misconstrued. This is not saying, obviously, that neurodivergent brains are less capable. I would never say that because it's bullshit and it's not true. So why they stuck me in summer school every year? Maybe. There's I still the skills like I did in college. Me too. What was I saying there? Yeah, I know it's an appointment reminder. That's why I hung up on you. There are some skills that neurotypical brains can reroute around a problem. To go back to my previous analogy, okay? Neurodivergent brains may rely on a single, heavily practiced pathway. So when that pathway gets disrupted, like I said, there is no automatic backup, right? And that's where that's why I use that analogy about using a GPS where, you know, your main route is blocked off. So now you have to find your way around, right? I think that's where you were. Self-shaming and giving up. One specific for autistics, that the burnout is not a metaphor, it is a document, or a document. It is a documented state. It's a document. Only one. Just one document, though. No, it is a documented state involving loss of previously held skills. The research from... is it the one that I have pinned up there? the Raymaker one. As always, if there are resources that I have that I forgot to share or have not shared and you want them, hit me up. I'll send them to you. But yeah, there's research from, it's a 2020 article and subsequent work that shows people losing language, motor skills, basic self-care capacity. They're not permanent losses in most cases, but they are real, and they do take real recovery time. And one that is more specifically attributed to ADHD is executive function being the first thing to go and the last thing to come back, especially under stress. Skills that depend on initiation or planning or sustained attention. Those are ones that are specifically very vulnerable. And because ADHD brains often have high performance variance anyway, skill regression can be hard to distinguish from just having a bad day. So the pattern is what tells you something more is going on. Energy is unlimited at the moment. Well, maybe you can fucking spread some of that around. Mine is way low today. My self-care is the first thing that goes out the window. I think that's a somewhat... Well, here's a poll. Actually, then let's find out for all of you. I'm not just gonna say it. Why don't you guys tell me? Do you guys think that the self-care is one of the first things to go? Yes or no? Hi Bree. Hi Crazy Fish Lady. Self-care, what's that? It's that one thing that Nadia gives other people shit for and does not engage herself. But how about for the rest of you? Do you find that that's one of the first things to go? I could probably say yes to that. I think that feels accurate. Let's have a look-see. Well, up until recently, yes. Dare I ask why you say up until recently? There's a specific reason for that. So for me, it's more concentration levels, set sales, can't focus on anything. It's scatterbrained as fuck. I feel like it went a long time ago and has not come back. So in other words, yes. As in, first thing to go, last thing to return. So how about this then? For those that have already answered, I got another question for you. So if anybody else wants to dive into this. So for those of you that did experience burnout, like a burnout regression, how long did it take before you realized that it was happening? Or did you know right away? Assumes that it will, yeah. Very bold of me to assume. Very much so. Now, in answer to my own question, how long did it take before you realized it was happening? It took a little while, and actually I think it was our buddy Alex that helped me realize that it was happening. Because it was a discussion that he and I had prior about it. And I think that's kind of where I realized that it was happening. So I brought that up with my own therapist. And yeah, that's the thing. Turns out, yes. And piggybacking on Ange there, assuming that Ange is strong enough to carry me. Yeah, assuming that it would return. What self-care looks like for me, and how to internalize self-worth. Excellent. If you have the capability, I'm a strong bitch. If you have the capability, if you want to sprinkle a little bit of that fairy dust around the room, that'd be great. because I feel like there's a lot of us around here that could probably benefit from said choices. If you know what I mean. All right. So it was the most cliche thing. It did it for me. So don't do it. Oh. Inner child work. Okay. So don't judge. You're assuming there's judgment around here. We don't judge, we don't shame. We may question, but that's it. Especially if we don't know any better. Oh, also, for those that were inquiring, Brownie. Fuck yeah, Brownie. Realizing what 100% looks like on any given day, accepting that 100% is all I can do. And that it and I is enough. Legit. And the fact that you're 100% today may not be your 100% tomorrow. May not look like your 100% yesterday. Which I'm sure that's what you were alluding to. So, yeah, that's one that I still fight with. Is the fact that I never know which version of myself I'm going to wake up to, right? I don't know if I'm going to get... That's the any given day part. English, motherfucker, do you speak it? Yeah, I don't know which version of me I'm gonna wake up to. So, do I know if it's gonna be the one who has enough energy to actually... the energy and the strength and capacity to walk around the kitchen and actually clean up the kitchen and do the dishes? Maybe. Is it going to be the one that is in so much agony that he can't get out of bed? Who knows? Tomorrow's another day of roll the dice. We'll find out together tomorrow. Okay, so here is a practical recognition of what skill regression actually looks like. So, the goal here is recognition without catastrophizing. Sometimes 100% is just getting out of bed, yep. Whirlwind of productivity, not often, but sometimes, yeah. I have to be kind to myself on the former for it not being the latter. Exactly. That is exactly it. So, this is what it may look like on a day-to-day. You used to be able to cook, and now the kitchen feels impossible, and you're surviving on convenience food and guilt. Not because you forgot how to cook, because initiating, planning the steps, tolerating the sensory inputs, managing the mess all at once now requires way more than what you have. I've been dead all day. I go in non-fucking stop. Yep. Yeah, that tracks. 6 years of therapy to learn and internalize this. Big part of that, yeah. No, that's great. Something I'm still working on. I don't need that type of validation. Okay. Then I will just plug your ears and go la 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 la. That'll make it all go away, Nadia. Of course it will. Did this visualization exercise. We had to visualize ourselves interacting with a version of ourselves in a childhood photo. I have done this before. Long story short about my childhood, I spent a lot of time in the CPS system. I didn't realize that moment, facing that little me. Did I just become another one of the adults that failed her by beating myself up like I do, not taking care of myself, etc. Kind of one. Yep. Sounds weird. Yeah, I get what you mean. I think it's easy. Internalizing it is fucking hard. Yes, it is. Yeah. If I ignore it now, you will hit me with it later. Yeah, it's true. It's 100% true. I totally will. All right, so some more practical applications of the skill regression, or what it looked application. the recognition, rather. Okay, you used to be able to hold a casual conversation easily. Now you're looking for the words mid-sentence. I don't know if anybody has noticed, but I'm pulling this from my own life experience. But yeah, finding the right language takes a lot longer. You tend to go quiet in situations where you used to be the only one talking. I don't need this fucking abuse. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I don't know who you think you're lying to, but find somebody that will believe you. Because I ain't this guy. Putting words mid-sentence, looking for an escape hatch. No, this parachute is a backpack. What the fuck? I'm talking way too much or not enough because I can't find the words. Now, one of the much harder ones for me that I find, and this a lot of this is the MS on top of all of it, is the cognitive decline and the fact that my processing time is so much longer than it used to be. Become bilingual, I think that's so much worse. I have not been bilingual in a very, very long time. How about this one? You used to be able to drive, and now traffic is overwhelming in a way that it was not before. The processing load has changed. Why did I add that one to the list? Because that is something that my doctor has recommended that I get checked out. You like that one, don't ya? How about this one then, Nadia? You used to be able to read, and now you read the same sentence 4 times and nothing sticks. How about that one? Stretch is 5, it involves far more cursing and that was rude but accurate. Sorry, you were just collateral damage in that one, I apologize. Okay, how about maybe it's not you, people. Where's the drive? Yes, I can drive, I just don't want to anymore. Used to love reading novels. It was great. I was great at it. Just to make up for all the call-outs I missed last time? Yes, it is. Professional skills. How about this one? Work tasks you have done 100 times suddenly take twice as long and feel unfamiliar. Or. We'll go with that. They can take twice as long or feel unfamiliar. So that one is terrifying for people, for a lot of people, because the job consequences feel immediately. You're not going anywhere. Sit the fuck down. Yeah, bye now. Yeah. Chaos is like, later, bitch. Be a good demon to listen carefully while we're talking about, or randomly forgets to do things. Do at work every fucking day. Listen to audiobooks while I do something like coloring book. Rekindle my love for reading, though. Excellent. Audiobooks is how I have to do it. Because, like I said, it's not like I took these directly from my own life experience and decided to shoot all of you with them. Or did I? I guess we'll never know. How about this one? Social skills. Scripts that used to run automatically now require active construction. So like small talk becoming exhausting in a way that it just... I mean, it's always been exhausting, but in a way that it wasn't necessarily before, possibly because you were masking more efficiently before you burned out. The masking is what broke. So not necessarily the social skill in and of itself. Never had social skills. Never heard of her. Fortunately, my brain won't tolerate someone reading to me for very long. I mean, fair enough. How are you? Good, thanks, instead of I'm okay. I suppose it would depend. So masking kills me. Well, yeah, like, if part of the potential skill regression is basically losing hold of the mask, as it were. How about that? Okay. We're causing a lot of damage today. All right. Fucking nat 20s all the way around. Assuming it's aligned with a depleted social battery that runs dead much faster than it used to. That is another thing that can affect. Yep. All right, so here's what it's not. Just to clarify and just to remind all of you, and remind those that are around you that may or may not need to hear this. It is not laziness. It is not choosing to be less capable. It is not permanent by default. However, there is an asterisk to that. It is not a sign that you were never actually good at the thing. Maybe some vodka. You're not supposed to smile at making your friend's pain. Sorry, I met you guys. I know that you come for the pain. Which may or may not be a chapter in your book all by itself, but we're not going to go there. Maitre D, what's going on? It's not weaponizing competence. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking as I said it. I didn't want to bring that up specifically, but you're right. All my issues classify as burnout per se, as much as burnout paired with a slew of recent trauma. I mean, why not both? Right? Why not both? Because it can absolutely be both. We aren't supposed to self-medicate. Says who? I also feel you can use brain loss to help you unlearn things, to be honest. You can use brain loss. Was that a fuck up in translation? As in literally losing a part of your brain? I read Deschooling Society. That is a much bigger, a much more grandiose topic than what I'm aiming at, but sits in the pain for a bit then to yell at me later. Yep, that tracks. You change your opinion on schools? Mine was never really that big to begin with. Okay, so my question to you. How about this? It's all good. My opinion wasn't that great of them to begin with. Okay, so of those things that we just discussed, is there one that caught you the most off guard? Like a skill that slipped that you didn't see coming? Of that list of things that I just basically paddled your asses with. Was there one that you weren't expecting? I spent my entire school career thinking schools were bullshit. I spent my entire school career, the first part of it, thinking they were bullshit. Well, at first I thought they were too easy. Then I thought they were bullshit. Then I went to college, and I thought that was fine until I got out to find that the skills that I had enhanced upon and the new ones that I had claimed were being undercut by 16-year-olds with hacked fucking software programs. And now they're pretty much obsolete as it is anyway. So, do I think they're bullshit? I don't think they... I think the idea of some of them can be good. Do I think that essentially they treat you like a cog in a machine and they were basically just created to bog you down with factory skills and make you a good worker drone? Yes. At the end of the day. I forgot my name. People thought I was lying. I'm now wondering how these ADHD regression, depression give you, and how much RD yet to be determined. I mean, again, why not all of the above? I spent a lot of the time in the hall. Yeah, so did I. Oh, bitch got me when I fucking turned my head. Thou shalt pay for that. Reading skills are the one pain hits. I can't function like right now. Yeah, reading is a very difficult one. Like it's really hard for me to not have the reading skill that I used to have. School needs teaching you how to take tests, not the actual material. Yeah, it's more important for you to get the right answers than it is to actually learn the information. And teach people to obey, that's their true purpose. Yeah, make you a good fucking... What's your prize? There's your prize. Sorry, now I'm trying to read. You know what? I'm not even sorry about that one. Okay. Like, do you know how many times I've been yelled at for not paying attention because I was fidgeting? Okay, you know what? Every one of us, I think, pretty much every 10 minutes. Yeah, I think every one of us has been hit with that one. Yeah, you're not paying attention because you're fidgeting. You're not paying attention because you're doodling. You're not paying attention because, you know, you're doing something with your other hand that is unrelated to, you know, listening, essentially. The great ADHD uniter. Yep, I fidget in my sleep. I wouldn't know if I do or not, to be honest with you, but I guess it wouldn't shock me. But I mean, like, being probably one of the older of the bunch in the room here, with the exception of our dear Lord and Savior Demon Daddy. Yeah, just imagine how it was for me being back in school in the early 80s, right? And with the amount of knowledge that they had / C did not have regarding ADHD and, you know, fidgeting, and how more often than not it is beneficial for us to be doing something like doodling or fidgeting or whatever to assist us with our attention span, right? You know, if somebody is talking to you and you're playing with a fucking fidget spinner, right? You're not focusing per se. You're not focusing your direct attention on the spinner. You are listening. It is increasing your ability to listen. We started on how it was dealt with in school. Yep. Yeah, Jay and I being a very, very similar generation. Like, thankfully nowadays, I know that my kid has got it better, right? Because they will allow her to doodle and whatnot, and she'll still be, you know, right up there among the first in giving the right answer. You know, proving she's paying attention. One of the last kids in Alberta to get the strap. Oh, God, don't remind me. Yeah. The good old strap. Because corporal punishment meant that it was going to help you pay better attention, I guess. Yeah. And of course, I had a mother that was just like, well, you must have deserved it. Back to the office. Back to the office. And don't leave until you're ready to behave. Got it. I'm finished this semester in the office. Yeah. You know what I just said to the class? Like that word for word, or if you want me to summarize? Do you want to be smart about it? I proceeded to do both. I needed you to look like you're paying attention. Your mom raised hell. I'm envious. Not only needs to focus to do her schoolwork. She is very bright and capable, but often daydreams in class. What, are we pulling out our report cards now? As a transient, my brain went elsewhere with the word strap. But the thing is, right strap, wrong context. Running some regret more in the future. They're stored in the memory, yep. Wasn't diagnosed until I was 30. Difference between how I was handled in school versus already diagnosed brother was startling. I can well imagine. As well as a gender difference. Correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I was the distracted teacher's pet with poor memory. So you literally were a puppy. Gender difference for sure. Oh yeah. Because your presentation, I'm guessing, was probably more inattentive than hyperactive, right? Because if so, I'll break out my board and chalk you up to statistic. Because that is very, very well fucking documented. Very well documented. The pokey puppy, yeah. When I say gender difference, is that what you're confused about there, Maitre D? Because when I say gender difference, what I'm talking about is how overall, up until more recently, right, the average presentation for little white boys, or little boys in general, is the... Oh, okay. Anyway. The question, even though AFABs were diagnosed less, they would have also suffered less of the discipline abuse bullshit. On average, yes. Absolutely, on average, yes. I mean, if think about it, I don't know how we could do this statistically. I'm sure there is a way that, and if you want me to, Jay, I will actually try and find some resources on it if you remind me. But if you think about it, how many girls, when you were in, say, elementary school or whatever, how many girls got sent to the office, right? How many girls received the coveted strap way back then? Know what I mean? Where things get unintentionally heated? I don't think there would have been any reason for there to be heated. Oh. Gotcha. No. I gotcha. I got paddled, but same. Okay, yeah. Right. Okay, so, Bree, I don't know how old you are, so I don't know how far back we can go with this. Damn it, I just read the topic. Did ya? Welcome. Just being careful. It's all good. Appreciate you being careful. And you know me, if I think things are going to escalate a little bit, you know, I'll be the first one to settle everybody down. I don't think I've ever heard of a girl getting the strap. Detention, but no corporal punishment. No, nor I. Not that I can think of. Because it would have been absolute, utter fucking chaos. And I only say chaos because your name was right there and it just made me think of... But, I mean, think about it. Back in the early 80s, right, or mid-80s, or even into the 90s here, right, think of how the parent of said young girl would have reacted in that situation if the girl went home from school and told her parents, I was sent to the office and I got the strap. Can you imagine what her mother would do? If I ever got corporal punishment, I would have fought back. I mean, not necessarily if you're 10 years old, though. Know what I mean? I mean, maybe. I'd like to think that I would have, but I never did. I mean, part of that is a trauma response because I got the same thing at home. Because that's how discipline was handled, right? On the end of a belt or a wooden spoon or the coveted wooden spoon. Did I just trigger a trauma memory for anybody there? I apologize for that. They got the female staff to do it. Really? Well then. Well, think time. 10-year-old, I almost got suspended for picking up a chair to defend myself. I mean, valid. Sit in the corner feeling an apology. Or doing lines, and not those kind of lines, but being, you know, either having to do them on loose leaf paper or being called up to the board in detention to do them. Again, did I just trigger another memory? We are getting way the fuck off topic, but not. Like but... yeah, I guess we kind of really are, aren't we? I didn't even use corporal punishment in my school. My elementary, I know that they used to. And now, what I got into junior high, I don't recall, or middle school, depending on where you are. I don't remember there ever being. Then when I got into high school, not so much, but they just threw you the fuck out. By junior high was abolished. What year are we looking at here, Peter? Because I don't remember exactly. Junior high for me would have been 89. Methinks. Probably got the strap somewhere in between a dozen and 2 dozen times in elementary. Jesus. 87. Okay, yeah. So when was junior high for me? No, it was before that. Would have been... Son of a bitch. I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about this because I'll get caught up on a rabbit hole. I want to say somewhere around 88, 89. I preferred in school suspension to regular classes. Country style of the year I started school. Also done by the state. Entire metro Atlanta had stopped by the time I entered school. Depends on when they got rid of corporal punishment in Australia. Being raised mid 80s, totally banned by 94. Nearly ended it back in my school days. I appreciate your delicate wording of that. But, I mean, you're probably also not alone. But that is not today's topic. So, while I appreciate you sharing that, we'll put a cork in that one for now. Because I know you're not alone in that. I definitely know you're not alone in that. Look at that. We have already run into our next self-care break. Stand corrected, didn't get abolished until fucking 04? So after grad, oh my god. Wow. Wow. I do be shooketh, I'm not gonna lie. That was 10 years after I was out of school. So how many of us regressed in skill? We built to try and avoid punishments. Wow. Yeah, progressive indeed. Big no-no. It was a big no-no, but not officially abolished, yeah. 11 or 12, and Jesus Christ. Thank you, Nadia. Have a higher incident rate than average? Yes, yeah, exactly. Okay, so let us take our next little self-care break here, and then we will get into the next section, which I lovingly call Getting Through It, which hopefully we can put a little bit more of a positive spin on this, shall we? So in the meantime, time to grab yourself that water, grab a snack, hit the can, check your dishes, give your child a pat on the head, finish eating your brownie. Do what you gotta do. No. Are you kidding? Do I need to play the re-intro for you or what? Remember, off-topic is the topic.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Uno momento. Hey, Bree, don't let me forget. I have something to add to that. All right, Bree, you're off the hook. I remembered. When you're a DJ, it's just a heat rave. Oh, no doubt. I heard about DEF CON 1 getting canceled because of the I'll get my Coke, yeah. Because of the code red, which sucks, but I mean, for the safety of people over just fucking showing up in the middle of a heat wave. No, I get it. It sucks, but I get it. So yeah, Bree, what I was saying, what I was going to add to that was how you had said, I love the over-under, the amount of times that I tell Dan that, I'm like, hey, Dan, remind me. And so Dan, being the smart mod that he is, and Jay does the same thing, as do actually a lot of the mods. If I say, hey, somebody remind me, is they will just send me a DM in Discord. But when you said it's an ADHD space, it's inevitable. Yeah, 100%. It totally is. When I plan out for the coaching streams, basically I've got all of my notes accumulated. I've got them split into segments, and I kind of try and time it out, right? So I try to ballpark for between an hour and a half, 2 hours kind of thing. Sometimes we go longer, sometimes we finish up short, not very often. But I also try and allow for derail time, because I know depending on what the topic is, and thankfully on this one here, what it looks like, and the fact that I brought in like some actual examples from my life that I know that some of you, like, and I've heard from some people directly, so I know exactly that these things hit them as well. So I was kind of counting on the fact that there were going to be some people that jumped in and added to it, right? So I kind of have like a space holding area. So yeah, knowing full well that the audience can and will fucking take a left into a wall. Yeah. Gonna heat wave in the UK right now. It was 95 outside the Jesus. Yeah, really? You're in the UK? The fuck? That's freedom units, my lord. 98? That's the 35-ish, I believe. That's a word from here on in. Fuck you, Jay. We met. We know how this works. Turn on my AC. It's 24 in my house. Yeah, it's about that in my house too. Oh, okay. No wonder you're using freedom units. Left into a wall, followed by a rebound. Hit the right wall too. Yeah, that's me. Me? Have I got an AC? Yeah, I don't know if you're asking me, but I'm going to answer anyway. Yes, we have 2 ACs in my house, and we're getting a third one. The MS Society of Canada has actually paid for one of them. There's actually a bot command you can use for Twitch. I think that depends on what bot you're using. Like, I'm sure I could set it up with the Stream Elements bot. It wouldn't shock me. It'd be an easy way. Though we do have dad jokes around here. Exclamation dad jokes. We also have exclamation dog facts and cat facts. So if you ever want to know facts about dogs and cats, or hear a really shitty dad joke, those are ones you can use. And here we go. I derailed everybody, all my own. Donate to bubble wrap me. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Next section. Like I said, I lovingly called it Getting Through It. Unsure how cat purrs. Most veterinarians use cat purrs by vibrating vocal folds deep in the throat. Do this muscle in the larynx opens and closes air pass about 25 times per second. Yes. And thank you, by the way. Yeah, my brand new short story just came out on last Saturday. If you're a patron, you already got a copy of the ebook. Hope you enjoy it. I'm also working on the audiobook for it, which will include a soundtrack and sound effects, because that's the way I like my audiobooks. Have I been neglecting it in the last week? Yes. Is there a valid reason for that? Yes, because I'm still recovering from that fall I had last week. Anyway. Anyway, continuing on, shall we? Okay, so to frame it up front, just to give you a bit of a heads up on what this is, I want to be real about the Getting Through It. If they don't have great music, they have lost my attention. I'm not going to lie. Let me glom onto your thought here a little bit. The first audiobook that I ever heard that really captivated me. What did they ever is? I don't know. But the first audiobook that I ever listened to that actually totally captured me was a steampunk novel. I still have it on my computer here that I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it sucked me in like big time, because the narrator and all of the different characters had a different voice actor to them, right? So to me I was literally envisioning a movie in my mind. So to anybody who can't do that, we talked about this a couple of streams ago, I sincerely apologize. But this was the most fantastic audiobook experience I've ever had. Yeah, it was the narrator, all these different voice actors, a fantastic little soundtrack to go with it, and then all of the little sound effects on top, right? That is how I am producing. Like, I have read for audiobooks before when I was doing more voice acting, but I have never produced an audiobook. I have done audio production for the last just a fucking near 30 years, but I've never produced an audiobook. So this is not only a first for me, but it's also something that's really exciting. And as much as I love to give shit to Quantum Eris, because they were the one who had first kind of like given me the little flick, it was something in the back of my mind that I wanted to do anyway. I wanted to do it for my first book, but the reason, for those that did get the first book, the reason I never made an audiobook to that is because I had intentionally left the gender of the protagonist a complete mystery. It was completely up to you, the reader, what gender that person was. So that's why I never actually did an audiobook for it. It's not a fall, but Wednesday, in the car, someone forgot to duck. Oh, fuck, I've done that. It's on my upper jaw, right in my fucking, oh my god. Thought I was punching the cheekbone, yeah, a little puffy and tender. Dude, that was me when I had that fall, because this is fucking where I hit that wall in the Dairy Queen lobby. Like, I went face first into it. So, yeah, thank you for the triggering memory. You could always anonymize the voice. I mean, maybe it was a hell of a lot harder than I wanted it to be, essentially. Sometimes it doesn't help the whole, not really, you're in a conversation with somebody imaginary. Like the graphic audio, branded audiobook. Yeah, kind of. Don't worry, I'll let you guys know when I get it done. I will absolutely be tagging you guys in the Discord. Anyway, all right, so back to the topic here before I go way too far. Put on my pants today. I just about did today too. I'm wearing shorts, but when I went to stand up, when I was putting them on, my heel was holding them down, so I went to pull them up while I was still holding on to them, and just about went, ee! Exactly, Brie. That's the problem that I was having with it. There wasn't one that I was satisfied with, so I didn't bother doing it. All right. Anyway, so getting through it. So again, kind of want to be real about what getting through it and how it looks different depending on what caused it. Okay, so burnout, regression, and MS-related skill loss, obviously they are not the same beast. You know what I mean? So what I'm going to talk about mostly applies to burnout. It mostly applies to burnout, stress-driven, and the scaffolding collapse. For the illness-driven regression, there's an overlap, but the medical piece needs needs a medical team rather than me. I had thought about that, Jared, but another thought I had was that I could put out two versions of it, and I could put one that is more that is more masculine sounding and one that is more feminine sounding. Who knows? Maybe I still will one day. It was a thought. All right, so we're gonna name it without the story first and foremost. Okay, so the first thing is just identifying what is happening. So it's not I'm broken and everything is fine, right? Nadia, knock me down, teach me how to lift myself back up. I'm trying to get there. How do we get through regression of skill? I'm trying to get there, but I keep distracting myself. And it's not your guys' fault, it is all me, because I don't need to read out loud what you guys are saying, but I choose to do it. Anyway. Okay, so, again, it is not I am broken, Nadia. It is not everything is just fine, Nadia. I know, I'll get there. No, I'm not. I handed mine back in for Christmas. No, wait, that was Jay a couple years ago. It is just skill X is not available right now, right? Skill X has left the building. That's it. The catastrophic story makes it worse. The denial makes it worse. It's just, the thing is harder than it was. That's the honest version, the neutral version, and that's where you have to start. I will give you another in-life example. I went mute last night. I don't like saying nonverbal anymore because that's actually something that, like, there are actually nonverbal autistics. There are a lot of us that call it selective mutism. Is it accurate? Maybe not 100%, but is something that Jason and I have in common. I was really upset. Was it last night, the night before? Something like that. And all of a sudden, my ability to speak had left the room. So what I had, my wife got home from work, and what she said to me was, "What, you're not talking to me now?" Which was not accurate. I'm going to pull up the actual text. I said, "Sorry, voice is out for a bit." Yeah, selective mutism is the clinical term. Yeah. So like every skill, like a library book, sometimes they're out and you can't borrow them. Yeah. No, what I said literally was, I texted her and said, "Sorry, voice is out for a bit." Right? So like in the same way that this thing is harder than it was, right? X skill is not available right now. You know, make that as much of a joke as you want to. We have house sightings for when that happens. House signings for when that happens. Interesting. But, so that would be the first thing, is to just identify what is happening. Now, again, easier said than done sometimes. Sign language, I am not very good at it. I should have learned, I wish I had learned it. It is something that, because Jason and I shared the selective mutism, that is, okay, I see what you mean. House signing. I just put the dots together on what you were saying there. House signing for when that happens. As in, you have communication that you have developed in-house to communicate with each other for when that happens. Am I correct? Because if that is the case, that is kind of where I was going. In that this is something that Jason and I have been working on. They're not buying real estate. I know, I was confused about that. Of like, house signings, you're not buying a fucking house, are you? I heard you guys were getting a new place, but you guys just finished moving, didn't you? But if that's what you were talking about, then that is something that Jason and I kind of have together, right? Is it actual sign language? No, probably not. Some of it is, but most of it, for the most part, is not. Yeah, sign language. Gotcha. So that is one way that we kind of try to skirt around that. The other way, obviously, would, you know, worst to worst, we will text each other. We will, what? Wait, the squirrel went, okay, got it. Rest of the night roll. No, it ended up coming back, right? But I mean, like I said, our way around it is, it's either we will text with each other, or I will, myself or Jason will pull up the notepad on our phone and type in there. And these are ways that we get around it. Okay? Step 2, stop trying to force the skill. It is counterintuitive. Okay? Trying to perform the skill that you're in regression from, especially when you've got shame attached to it, which never happens for us, usually just makes it worse. Husband does a notepad thing too. See, there you go. You're adding stress to an already depleted system. So forced practice under duress is not the same as skill building. It's trauma. Rest first, practice later. I'm gonna say that again for those of you that seem to plug your ears a lot when this shit gets said to you. So listen up. What I said was, rest first, practice later. To be fair, I can't swim, not kind of the same. I feel like it's part of my dyspraxia. That would make sense. That makes sense to me. I can't swim anymore either, but that's related to my MS. I don't float so goodly no mo. Okay, step 3. Was that listening with my left ear? What it was is, I'm going to send a message to Doug and have him cuff you on the right side to make sure that you're listening. I forgot how to tie my shoes. Jason never really learned. She learned and then forgot. Can't draw either. I still kind of can, but the problem I have nowadays is that my hands hurt from it and I shake too much. Shocker. Step 3. Freddy is the devil. Is not what I was trying to say. This is what I was trying to say. Rebuild the scaffolding, not the skill. Okay, this is the one that a lot of people skip. Before you try to get the skill back, get the conditions back. So sleep. Reduce sensory load where possible. Stable routine. Food and water. Social demands reduced to sustainable levels. The skill often comes back on its own once the environment stops being hostile to it. I lose words. When I lose words, I try to get out that words have left. Legit. I always lose words mid-sentence, so even more legit. Hand hurt from writing. That's a dyspraxia one. Yeah, that was one that I used to draw a lot, right? I was huge, big time artist, right? I just shared on if you got me on Facebook, I was tagged by the leader of the Mandalorian Mercs for a piece of art that I did for him in 2017, right? Nowadays I can't do the same thing because my hands hurt, right? They cramp too much when I'm trying to hold a pencil or a pen or whatever. And then now I shake too much. You know, yeah, go join the set of the Santa Claus. I have a Discord chat when that happens. If my wife was on Discord, totally. So if we don't text, we actually use Facebook Messenger. That works as well. Another idea here is to work backwards from what broke to try to rebuild the scaffolding. So if it was burnout, what was the load that pushed giggity? What was the load that pushed you over? Don't. That conversation needs to happen or it will happen again. So if it was a life transition, what's missing from your support structure that used to be there? So if you started a new job, if you moved cities, if there was some big event in your life, right? Can it be rebuilt in a new form? Completely forgotten how to use Excel, for example. Remember Sicily, 1932. The conversation about loads. Be nice. If it was an illness. Love you, Angie. Oh, fuck, where was I? Life trends. Okay, so if it was an illness, was my brain damage? Yeah. If it was an illness, this is where the medical team conversation lives, so don't skip it. I also knew it reasonably well. So what was that? Excel? Fair enough. Okay, another step that has been used. It's called the graduated re-exposure. Not a boot camp, but a very gentle re-exposing to the situation. So when you are ready to start practicing that skill again, small is the word. I don't know, Maitre D, if this can help you, right? But if you're ready to start practicing that skill, go in small. Not, I'm going to force myself back to full capacity. I am absolutely fucking guilty for this one. I will admit that I am guilty for this one. And it's when I recognize that I am doing it to myself where I can stop, back up, and go, okay, no, you're just hurting yourself. Small steps, right? Baby steps. Really have a need for it. So the Kool-Aid Man technique is bad idea. It's true. I wouldn't say bad idea. We'll say generally frowned upon and counterproductive. But yeah, so one step, very low stakes, no audience, because I know that can be triggering and again counterproductive. So yeah, for example, cook one simple meal, write one paragraph, drive one familiar route. If you guys can think of anything else, knock yourselves out. But let the nervous system confirm that the skill is acceptable before you try and crank the volume on it. Okay? Let's come up with a brain transplant. I think I'm doomed with the dumbs. I shake my head. Community scaffolding is another one. And so other people who understand what is happening are not optional when it comes to this step. Accountability without pressure, presence without expectation. So obviously that's what our community is here for. In case you forgot, that's worth saying out loud to all of you. But if you are going to do something to build a community scaffolding, make sure that the people around you understand what is happening. I had trouble with typing for all, actually, post-operative cognitive decline. A lot of the long-term effects I dealt with applied to my ability to write, not the physical act, the act of writing as a narrator, okay. Finally give my brain a rest and stop trying to write for a bit, get some extra rest, let it heal. That was really hard for me. And I understand that. That's where I find that I use the fact that I am like a multi-talented artist. So I will go from the actual like author writing versus sliding back to musical writing versus sliding over to videography, right? Like the After Effects kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. Box cake versus full handmade cake, finding the steps. I can still do a lot of the new acronym diagnosis that's acting up a lot. I like that. That's a good one, Moon. I've actually completely forgotten my girlfriend's name before and called her by her pet names before. It felt very embarrassing. You know what? You're not the only person in the world who has done that. I know that. I cannot say that I have done that myself, but I have. Well, there you go. I've done that with my wife. There you go. I can't say that I have done that myself. Asterisk yet. Because who knows? Me in 5 years. Right? Hashtag thanks, MS. It's embarrassing because my common pet name for her is Bubbles. Completely blanked on her name. You know what's really funny? For me, anyway, there was a period in my life where Jay can't relate to this at all, where I had hopped from one girlfriend to another, to another, to another. And many of them were either named Nicole or Amanda. So I had a 50-50. If I fucked up one, I got it the other way around. Because she calls me Bubba and I call her Bubbles. Nice. You know, their name's impressive. Dude, I had a cheat sheet for that. That's why I kept the notepad beside the bed. That, and when I had a really fucked up dream, I would wake up and write it down as soon as I could and then go back to sleep. Anyway. All right, time for the question for you. Here you are. Here you go. Ready? What is the one thing that actually helped you when you have been in this position before? Not the actual, not the thing that should help, but the thing that actually did. Do you find that you had one if you were ever experiencing this kind of thing before? If not, tell me no. I'm curious. I kind of want to gauge where we're at here. Validate and water power. Break up tasks, for instance, 11 readings, assessment, as a tool to make sure I understand. Read the assessment. Gotcha. Husband telling me it's okay to listen to an audiobook. 100% is. My way to solve this isn't too friendly, to be honest. I'm sure I have, but I can't think of an example. That's fine. Can I repeat the question? Okay, the question was that when it came to if you were ever in a way to get through it, if you ever found that you were in a position where, you know, you were dealing with this kind of skill regression or skill loss or whatever, and if you did manage to find your way back out of it, what is a way that actually helped you? Not the thing that should, quote unquote, from the list that I just kind of gave you. Shaking the bacon, shall we say. I do love a good time. But was there a way that, like, if you ever found yourself in some kind of regression, I had that same fucking thought. if you found your way out of a skill regression and managed to get yourself back, what was something that helped you? Or was there a way? Or in Jay's case, maybe there was, but not really sure, right? Because there are still a lot of things that I am still working on from as far back as my autism diagnosis. Another one going forward is dealing with the MS, right? And the fact that my cognitive decline is real, right? And I'm sure I have mentioned it to some of you here on stream and talked to you in DMs afterwards. It is real. Look at me now versus me 5 years ago. I tend to Kool-Aid man a lot, unfortunately, which not necessarily going to help. But hey, like I said, even the things where I stumble with that, I try and Kool-Aid man it. Yo. And that's for all of you, by the way. Every one of you. My skill regression will only get worse. It's degenerative. As I'm saying, so will mine. My cognitive decline will increase. Right? It's a sliding scale at this point. But there are things that I do to try and counter that, right? I try writing as much as I can. I try and there are some little brain teaser games that I play on my phone. Shit like that. Allow myself to feel the frustration and trying again and trying a different way. Yeah. Thank you all for helping me do things. Thank all for helping become part of my new Get Things Done brain coping. Excellent. Time and effort, recognizing there's some things I won't be able to do the same. It's a lot of picking and choosing fights. 100% it is. Arguing on Facebook keeps me sharp. Yeah, me too, brother. I don't know what you're talking about. Kool-Aid man has worked spectacularly. Yes, I'm sure that it has. Hashtag no sarcasm detected. I like this one today because it's like we have a lot of back and forth going on this, which I like. I love that you guys are interjecting with your 2 cents and your experiences and your thoughts and your opinions and whatnot. Sorry, I'm just looking at some more of my notes. I got a handful of stuff on me personally here, but I've already gone over a lot of this. That's what she said. Yes, it is. Where's the button I'm looking for? Yeah, I don't know. First, we're talking about regression. Going back and forth. Yes. Yes. One for me is the difference between this is temporary and this is MS is one that I have to really fight with. I don't always necessarily know which one it is in the moment. But yeah, that's one that I have a very hard time with. And as I had said before, when we were joking about the Kool-Aid manning it, yeah, knowing that if I dive in and go full force, yeah, right in the face, yeah, that's what she said. But going like full tilt into something, squirrel, exactly, is not gonna get it done for me, right? I know, and have to accept and be gentle with myself about the fact that it's going to be a slow rolling thing, step by step, right? Baby steps. So there is that. Cool man is not working at all. It's slowly killing you, and that's not just for you. That's for everyone. I'll be enough to tell you this: it kills you. Well, especially if your Kool-Aid man isn't very good and doesn't break the wall where you go face first into it, and then the glass just shatters, and then you're just left with a great big dribbling fucking puddle of Kool-Aid on the ground. And ain't nobody got time for that. So, with all of this being said, how are we feeling? Where are we? Man, it's a bad method of fucking me up in the best times. Acknowledging it is the first step. Versus... Oh, yeah! No. Fluctuating? Fluctuating is fair. I'm making box muffins. Very nice. Fluctuating is how you're feeling. I kind of assume that's what you meant. Anybody else care to share any examples of a way that you've maybe learned to take a different approach? Same disaster piece I usually am. I mean, okay, that's fair. Do you feel like you learned anything today? I guess. How about that? Did I give you something new to walk out with and maybe to try for yourself? I always do. That's fair. I buy tools that make my life easier. Fair enough. Hey, speaking of tools, speaking of, thanks for that trigger. It was a great trigger for the goblin tools. Yeah, if you find that you're having a very, very hard time with something, break it down into smaller chunks. Yeah. Goblin Tools is a great place to do that. I was building an app at one point, but then got fucking way sidetracked. But I mean, then there's Goblin Tools, which is fantastic. You can also tell yourself a dad joke. I learned body doubling helps me get stuff done now instead of organization system. I had noticed, which is great. I have a backyard poop guy. He cleans up all your shit in the backyard. Seems always educational. I do actually learn a lot. Yeah, but we wouldn't change you. We wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, that's just that. Tap water. Let tap water sit for 24 hours before giving it to a cat. Really? That's interesting. Got his hook from a secondhand store. Jesus Christ. You're one of the few. Just saying. Have well water, no chlorine. Bleh. Don't change for other people, only change if it's good for your well-being. 100%. This is something that we've slapped Jay with that one too, not to call you out too much, but that was something that my wife and we were having a discussion about that. I'm not going to get into the topic because it's not my story to tell, but it is about somebody else. But we had mentioned the fact that there were things that needed to change in that person's life. Otherwise, shit was going to go sideways for them. And I had reminded her that if somebody was going to change, they have to do it for themselves. And I used my mother as an example. I said my sister and I begged her to stop drinking for years and years and years. And she never did, right? When I think my sister and I were like 16 and 18 or 17 and 15, somewhere like that. There's a year and a half between my sister and I. Of course, you guys know my mother was a fucking hardcore drinker. And we had begged her, literally begged her, sat her down and tried the intervention approach. We tried to get her to quit and nothing, right? You don't change for somebody else, you change for you. Ugh. No, don't envy that. Not at all. So basically, I think we've covered all of the shit that we need to cover today. Does anybody have any questions? Because I know sometimes people do have some questions. They hit me up with them afterwards. But we got a bit of time. I don't mind answering some shit here. There were some... Why does my ass hurt? Because your wife has introduced the ether bunny to your bedroom. I found the people don't change things happen that change people. I think those two things can go hand in hand. Peter, hit me. What you got? Because I kicked it hard? I mean, maybe. Because it's not an entrance, Jay. You spanked the fuck out of me again. Oh, well, okay, there's that too. I can, while you guys are, if you guys are coming up with questions, I can tell you some of the ones that I did find around here in my researching. And again, the main comment, or the main article that I'm pulling from, I was telling him why his bum hurt. It's Pitter's fault. The main article that I'm pulling from is the one that's pinned up on the top of the chat. I do have a couple of others. If you guys want access to them, just hit me up, or if you're watching on YouTube, they're in the description. But yeah, just hit me up and I will always share the info. A couple of the questions that I had found that were asked when I was doing the research: how do I know if it's burnout regression or if I am just getting worse permanently? Honest answer is you can't really know in the moment. What you're looking for over time is whether there is any partial recovery with rest or a reduced mental load. Do you have an answer or mind a hysterical woman in the airplane? Burnout regression responds to restoration. Some forms of neurological progression don't. So if you're genuinely unsure after several months, and I do mean months because a lot of this, like a burnout for a neurodivergent, especially autistic burnout, can take months, can take years. Like I am still in mine. I am still trying to recover from it, and it's been 2 years, right? So if you're genuinely unsure after several months of appropriate rest, and that's kind of the key and the hard part, that's when basically you need like medical teams to weigh in, kind of thing. We'll go with my airport thing because my joke didn't land at all. Aha! You like how I made an airplane out of that too? What do I tell people who think I'm just being lazy? And I shit you not, people have actually asked me this. Now, I know that those of you who can hear my voice right now probably know better. But first off, let me just say that you don't owe everyone an explanation. For the people who matter in your life, you can tell them my brain is in a high demand period, and some things that used to be automatic are requiring conscious effort right now. I'm working on it. It's true, and it's enough. So if you are going through a burnout period and someone just thinks that you're being lazy, one, you can tell them to pound fucking sand. Or tell people, you can tell them to fuck off. Amen to that. Right? That is always rule number one around here. Somebody says you're just being lazy, you send them to me. If you don't tell them to fuck off yourself, send them to me and I will do it for you. I've got no qualms about that. I never have, and you all know that I never will have qualms with that. Is it possible to get the skills back fully? Exactly. You don't owe anybody shit. You do not need to explain yourself to anybody. But in the case of the people that are close to you, if you do want to give them an explanation, tell them you're working on it. Good enough. So is it possible to get the skills back fully? For burnout-driven regression, often it is yes. Asterisk. Not always. But given enough time and the right conditions, it is possible. For illness-driven regression, it depends on the illness and the progression. In my case specifically, probably not. It's probably just going to get worse from there. I will get right to you, Moon. The honest answer is that it's going to vary. And anyone telling you that it's different, or that it's definitely one or the other, rather, without knowing your specific situation, is guessing, first of all. Moon, how do you support those? Okay, how do you support those? Fuck off with the English. How do you support those that are now worried about what you're struggling with, but their worry is taking the spoons needed for recovery, helping them calm down as they spiral on their own? I'm going to try and parse that a bit here. Okay. How do you support those that are now worried about what you're struggling with, comma. Sorry, I'm breaking this down into chunks from my mind here. But their worry is taking the spoons needed for recovery. For their... Okay, so do you mean for their own recovery? How do you support those that are now worried about what you're struggling with? So is the question, how do you support those that are supporting you? But their worry is taking the spoon. Your spoons needed... Okay, so because they are worrying so much, it is pulling from you. Is that correct? Did I put that together right? Okay. So, in essence, what... Did I read it right the first time? If I break that down to the absolute dumbest of English, how do you support somebody that is supporting you? Because that's what that feels like to me. You can take a snooze timer is what you can do. While we finish talking about this. You can take 2 snooze timers is what you can do. I'm going to put that off for 15 minutes until the next self-care break. Always another name for trans girls, those you didn't know. That's how you interpreted it? That's how I interpreted it as well. So I'm just going to wait for Moon to reply, but while I am doing that, I'm going to read what Angie was saying. Okay, doesn't apply here. Which part doesn't apply here? Or is it like, you don't owe anyone an explanation, they owe you an explanation for being so insensitive. Doesn't apply here, also applies if you're LGBT, remind my siblings that Pride Month winds down. If you know someone that's trans, remind them that they don't owe anyone, including themselves, masculinity or femininity. Just be comfortable. 100%. And just before I get to that, I just want to remind all of you...
Trans rights are human rights. And if you don't agree, you can fuck off.
That does not just apply for Pride Month. That applies around here 24/7, 365, 0 exceptions, 0 intolerance. And you know this, man, / woman / they / whatever gender you identify with. I don't give a fuck. I think woman's asking, how do you support people who are worried about you, even when their own worry is so destructive on their part? You're having to take care of them. It's costing you the spoons you need to recover. Disjointed phrase. More of the question. Oh, yeah, okay, Angie. They want help, and I don't have the energy to recover them to help them. That's a very good question. That really is. That is a very good question. How can you support somebody who is trying to support you? Is it the way that they are supporting you that you find draining on you? Because if that is the case, then I feel like that is something that you may need to address. Right? I obviously, without digging in too much, I don't know the specifics of the situation, right? So I can't give you my honest 2 cents. Again, you all know I'm not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I am not a professional, blah, blah, blah. I'm just some asshole with a microphone. But without knowing exactly your situation, it feels like that's a situation that you are going to need to address directly, right? You're going to need to name that specifically, that if they are trying to support you, genuinely trying to support you, but the way that they are doing so is taking your energy. Essentially, they're being an energy vampire. I hate to say that because the term itself is a negative connotation. But if they do have genuinely good intent, then I think it's a discussion that's going to need to be had in order to find some kind of a compromise, in order to find some kind of a middle ground, in order for them to support you in a way that you need to be supported. I would tell them, thank you for caring, but I can handle this on my own. What I can't do is take care of me and you at the same time, so please just focus on yourself and let me handle this. That is one way. That is one way. Sorry, I missed the start of this convo. That's all right. That's what the VOD is for, my friend. What was the question? Somewhat unrelated, but apparently grapefruit is dangerous for those on depressive meds. Yeah, a lot of these citrus, like the vitamin C and heavy citrus stuff, it depends on what the med is. Again, I'm not a pharmacist, so I don't have a list handy. It's not good for your hormones a ton either, or medication. Yeah, a lot of the citrus stuff, generally they advise that if you are going to take, I know with my stimulants, with Vyvanse, it's not the best. My daughter's stimulant. So generally we make sure that there is an hour gap on either side of taking the meds as kind of more of a safety zone, right? Just make sure that you don't take them near the same time as the meds. Give it some time. I just eat enough to save off scurvy. Moon, am I helping in any way, or am I just fucking this up even worse? Look at me trying to help you in a conversation about having help that is not necessarily the best. It's just, it feels very on the nose right now, if you know what I mean. Being 20, my parents while I'm in transition, still getting important. Give me access to tools that I can use. Okay, good. Then that is perfect. Then that's what I like to hear. I always try and at least give you guys access to the tools. Yeah, if I'm helping, great. If I'm not helping, just tell me shut up and move on. I can take it, trust me. Another question, how do I stop spiraling when I notice a skill is going offline? That's a question that I found here, which is kind of a two-part answer is what I found. In the moment, name what you're noticing without catastrophizing it. We tend to do that from time to time. This is harder than it was is better than I'm losing my mind. Nadia. Over time, if the spiraling is itself a consistent problem, then that's worth bringing to a therapist or a professional, something like that, somebody who understands your neurodivergent brain, right? But acknowledging that this is harder than it used to be, and not saying, I'm losing my mind and catastrophizing the shit out of it. Can you relearn skill in the virtual sense first? Potentially. I guess it would depend on what the skill is. I would guess. Last question that I found. I'm just going to spit her out here real quick. Does this happen in kids too? Yes. Autistic children specifically can experience significant regression, especially around transitions, illness, stress, right? Moving to a new school. This is one that I'm keeping an eye on Jasa specifically because she is now coming out of the school that she just spent the last 9 years in and going into high school. A school with, I think, 3 or 4 times the student count. It's also my old high school and her mother's. So this is something that we are keeping an eye on because it is going to be a transition period for her. But it is documented in pediatric autism research. The shame piece is different for kids. They are less likely to catastrophize about it, thankfully. But the mechanism in it is very similar. So, there's that. Try some resources in your area. Sorry, I'm just trying to see what you were responding to there. Oh, okay. Later. That I'm not even going to touch that one because that has nothing to do with me or anything that I understand or experience, I guess is more accurate. On medication, actually, ADHD, depression drugs, anti-rejection drugs, birth control pills, to name a few. Did I know about the birth control pills? I might have. I may have forgotten that. But yeah, there are a lot of medications where citrus is something that, you know, gets in the way. It interrupts, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I didn't know about, yeah, me, you and me both. I don't think I did. I may have. I don't know. I don't trust my brain anymore, to be honest with you, unless I have it written down in notes here. This discussion that we had today, it is not a Substack article. I could make it one. Maybe I will. I don't think I put one out today, did I? No, I didn't plan for one today. But, I mean, as always, exclamation Substack if you want to check out the articles that we've been going on. I'm working currently on a series about grief and neurodivergence. Apparently it can affect dosage too. No, citrus, oranges are generally okay for a lot of them. I can't have grapefruit. Oh, because it gives you weird but nice commercials. Pediatrics. I'm watching. I got a YouTube ad for Tricant. Really? I'm trying to remember what I specified for my YouTube ads. I know there are things that I absolutely said no to. A lot of it may or may not have to do with certain governments. Anyway, the brain is a weird thing. Amen to that. There's a 2-hour window on either side. So it's like a full 4-hour window? Is that what it is? Because we've always used 2. Guess that's something maybe I could look up. You know, it's not like I don't have all the fucking world's information on my fingertips. Eating a large amount will slow the breakdown of birth control hormones, leading to theoretical increase in estrogen-related side effects, so it doesn't compromise the pill itself. Huh. No, I feel like that is something that maybe I did not know, based on the grounds that I would not necessarily need to know that for myself. There are many more topics. I'd like to request one. Always. Always, always. And again, that's for everybody. This is a requested topic today. And it was requested by going to the coaching channel in the Discord and putting it in there. But, Maitre D, hit me if you got one. Sure, hit me right now. What do you got? I am always good to take requests for topic ideas. What are you talking about today? Hi, T-Tree. Today, we actually just kind of wrapped up the conversation. That is the nice thing about these videos staying on the internet. But today's conversation was about skill regression and basically what you can do about it, how to help you manage it, how to help you get out of it, things like that. So yeah, if you have anything to add to it, by all means, feel free. Tree works, thank you. Hey, honestly, it'll probably just slip out of my face as Tree. Did I say tea tree? I said tea tree. And you know why I did? Because my wife is very much into a lot of the holistic stuff. So she has a lot of tea tree oil around here. So that's why that came to mind. So I read your name backwards. So I will try and remember you as Tree. Mr. Brian Cox, a scientist, recently said, what if we're the aliens and we forgot about it? I do like the topic. It doesn't 100% pertain to what we normally discuss. That being said, I love Brian Cox, and I believe I saw that video, and I thought it was super cool. Burnout's a huge part of that. Okay, Tree, what can you tell me? I didn't forget. You know you're the alien. Did you know autopsies on trans people show white matter distribution that is generally closer to being like that of the identity that they identify with and not so much with their natal sex. Also holds true across fMRI studies that show how trans people's brains lighting up. Our brains tend to light up more similarly to how those of our identifying gender do, and less like those of our... And I don't see why they wouldn't, to be honest with you. Because if... I mean, think about it. The, like, mentally, and again, I'm not going to go too deep into this because I'm not a professional and blah, blah, blah. You all know that. But if, I think that, I mean, if that's who your mind sees you as you are, why the fuck would it not, like, if that's who you are inside, why would your brain not identify specifically as that? That makes no sense to me as to why it wouldn't. So what you're saying, Ange, totally makes sense. By the way,
Trans rights are human rights, and if you don't agree, you can fuck off.
that being said, it's time for another self-care break. So if you're brand new here, once an hour we do this. Time to grab yourself some water, grab a snack, hit the bathroom, or just sit tight, and we'll be right back in a moment after these words from our sponsors at ADHD Incorporated.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Oh yeah, Tree, we just talked about that. I'll touch on that in a moment.
Welcome to another episode of Nobody Asked, the segment where we give you information that nobody asked for.
Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13, but don't tell Jay.
This has been Nobody Asked.
Hey kids, are you tired of your lame old video games?
Not really.
Is the Switch just not scratching the itch like it used to?
I mean, hyperfocus is a thing.
Is your PlayStation more of a lame station?
Dude, that was a shitty joke.
Mom, Susie is using the devil words again.
Maybe it's time to try something brand new. From ADHD Incorporated Kids, it's the game of ADHD Life.
Great, another stupid board game.
In the game of ADHD Life, you get a glimpse of life with ADHD without the side effects of medication. Fun to play with the whole family.
Do we have to?
Why are there so many pieces missing?
I didn't get my school accommodations. Now I need to drop out? That's bullshit.
What the hell? My husband left me for a younger woman because I forgot our anniversary?
So, do we just go in a circle forever and never win?
This is fucking stupid. Take this game back.
The game of ADHD Life from ADHD Incorporated Kids. Also coming soon, Snakes and Adderall.
Wait a minute. So you get to roll twice for 4 hours. Then you go all the way back to the beginning and start over?
Who comes up with this shit?
Susie?
You rely on coffee, but does your coffee rely on you? At ADHD Incorporated, we've rewritten the bean. Introducing Coffee.exe, the first beverage that updates itself nightly and occasionally reboots your motivation.
User detected. Launching productivity protocol.
What? Not again. Please don't.
With Coffee.exe, every sip floods your neurons with quantum caffeine, a compound so strong it briefly collapses time, like a black hole of rich, full-bodied flavor.
He's been typing for 36 hours. I don't think he has stopped to eat in days.
Ugh, no wonder it smells like piss and shame in here.
Somebody help me!
Mission complete.
That was your mission?
It's going to take a week to air out that smell.
Make it stop. I can smell words.
Coffee.exe from ADHD Incorporated for when consciousness is optional and sleep is only a suggestion.
I'm calling HR. This shit can't be legal.
Thanks for working, button. Stupid ass thing. Alright, so just to do a quick recap here, because yeah, we got people rolling in after we kind of wrapped up what we were talking about today, but I'll just do a super quick recap. Today we were talking about skill regression, what that looks like for things like autistic burnout or illness related. Basically what it is, how it is not the same thing as just forgetting. Essentially it is a rewiring of your brain, more or less. We looked at a video from our friend Alisor Lofus where he talked about basically it's neurological pruning, where, you know, after things like, say, the onset of an illness, or after, say, unmasking after an official diagnosis of autism. I guess I'm going to use my experience here. But if you think about it, how, like, you know, your neural pathways branch out, essentially things like that tend to prune them, and you tend to forget skills, so it is learning new ways to navigate around that. There are things like burnout regression, stress and overwhelm regression, thing called the scaffolding collapse, where things like, you know, a brand new situation, you start a new job, you just move to a new school, you move to a new city, things like that. It's the scaffolding that you have underneath your support structure tends to kind of fall out. Things that are illness driven and development and age related. So for those of us old folks over here that tend to forget shit, stuff like that. We discussed why neurodivergent brains tend to take this a lot harder. And that's because things like masking being expensive, how it essentially affects your executive function, your working memory, things like that, sensory processing overload, how the shame tends to accelerate, things like that. You have got fewer neurological backups. Autistic burnout specifically, and the attack on ADHD executive function, how it is the first thing to go under stress, etc. What it can look like day to day, getting through it. One of our first steps, remember, is to name it without adding the story to it, right? Don't say I'm broken, don't say everything is fine. You just say that skill X is not available right now. The thing is harder than it used to be. Don't try to force it, go in gently. Rebuild the scaffolding, your skill, or your support structure, not the skill itself. My executives do not like functioning. They're on strike. That's legit. I feel that 100%. How you can work backwards from what broke the scaffolding and try and rebuild it from there. How there's an update to something that just popped up and I don't care. Community scaffolding. How other people in your community that understand what you're going through and have them to support you. Things like that. That is the super condensed version of the shit we were talking about today. Don't force it, go in gently. Giggity, that's right. Let's talk about brain rewiring. I don't have skill regression, I have regression. Been more in the inner monologue, but I've been writing so long now, 18 damn episodes. I'm actually giving myself an internal monologue voice. Writing Sarah so much, that's right. Neuroplasticity is a bitch. I'm giving myself a voice in my head. It's fucking weird. I'm not sure I like it, but it is what it is. I literally rewired my brain. That is awesome. That is really awesome. I love the fact that you've now given yourself an inner monologue from your story characters. That is fabulous. Weird? I mean, it would be the same if I didn't have an inner monologue all of a sudden. If I woke up and it was just silent up here, I don't know what I would do, man. I would go absolutely bonkers. Things that happen with me and journaling. Have hand pain for writing, even a little bit can hurt. I have the same for the self-care and type instead. Love the tactile experience. There are times where I will actually do physical materials, and I get that. I totally get that. Where do I sign up, right? There are a lot of times where I will just do voice to text when I take my notes, because if my hands are like, because when I find that when my body is getting really tired, then my left side especially will like start to cramp and shit. Thankfully I'm right-handed, but I mean, like, even that has its limits. So yeah, I'll go voice to text nowadays just to help get around that. It's all about the little things. I was reading something, I heard the voice in my head, right? About shit. I can imagine. I can bloody imagine. Well, I am glad that we had one today that a lot of you could relate to. I don't have one train of thought. I have a whole fleet of them. Exactly. I don't have a train. I have a train yard. I am far too used to having too many cars in the station, going in far too many directions. And being somebody who used to work in a rail yard and used to have to stack those cars together and get them out to the right places, that hits me on a completely different level than it would for a lot of people. Some people don't have an inner monologue. How do they get through the day? Quietly. Very quietly compared to a lot of us. Didn't we covered that with aphantasia. When we were talking about aphantasia. Depending on the community, it's between like 2 and 4% of people have aphantasia or don't have an inner monologue. One train's 16 engines, 8 facing one direction, 8 facing the other, and they're all playing tug of war, trying to rip the knuckles off the cars. I fucking feel ya. I totally feel ya. Both ask, we cover that. Yeah, aphantasia, we covered that like 2 weeks ago. By the way, if you're on YouTube, that video is still up there. I don't know if the VOD is still on Twitch, but that video is still on YouTube. I just have the voices, all the voices. Really glad I caught part of this live, rather than thinking either validation. Hey, happy to do so. Very happy to do so. Welcome to our happy little community of complete and utter neurodivergence. I actually meant to do this earlier as a joke, but fucking, I'm going to do it right now.
Hello there and welcome. My name is Tyler, but people know me by many names. But most know me as Spaz or SquirrelDad. And here's a little bit about me. I'm a mental health advocate. I have autism and ADHD. I'm a giant nerd. I love space. I love Star Wars. I'm an artist. I'm an animator. I'm a musician. I'm a veteran DJ. I'm also a Mandalorian. So what can you expect here? Well, we chat about everything. We talk mental health. We chat about nerdy stuff. We talk about food. Hell, around here, off topic is the topic. All in all, we like to have fun, but we don't talk religion or politics. No. There's enough division and hatred out there already. My community is a safe space for all, no matter if you're neurodivergent or not, if you're gay, straight, or trans, no matter where you are, no matter what color you are, no matter who you love, no matter what you believe. You are all welcome in my house. Just respect everybody and don't be an asshole. So again, welcome.
There you go, now you know. If you didn't know before, now you know. And if you didn't know before, that again, I am not a professional, and by that I mean I am not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, but I am a double certified ADHD and autism coach, which is why we do these coaching sessions, because this is shit that our community basically needs and could use. And yeah, we do requested topics, or I break down the latest peer-reviewed neuroscience that comes out and stuff like that. But yeah, that's what we do. That's how we do around here. Angie, I used to think in concepts and abstracts. I still have aphantasia, but there was no voice when I thought it. Just doesn't speak very well. Some of them, if the sentence "I love cats," I just recall those words in sequence. There's no voice attached to it. So I have a question for you then, and I find it very interesting that you are writing What are you writing? A series, or are you just writing a novel? What is it specifically? Oh, and by the way, drop the link to your Patreon while I'm thinking of it. But yeah, what is it exactly that you're writing? Because I find it really interesting, very intriguing, that you are taking on this task as somebody with aphantasia, right? So I think that is, I've got so many questions, right? Like, how do you plan your scenes out, right? Like, if you can't visualize them per se, how do you do, like, do you just script up a basic plan, a structure, and do you follow that? Or, and I'm just comparing this to how I write, right? When I wrote my last book that just came out on Saturday, I had a general concept that I was going for, right? So I'm very much an arc writer. Thanks, Jared. That's right, exclamation book, if you want to check it out. Which should work on Twitch and YouTube. Not so much on Facebook. Anyway, but yeah, like when I was doing it, I had a full overarching, this is the idea I have, this is how I want to start, this is how I want to end, and now I just fill in the rest. So I'm very intrigued to hear how you would do that, because for each scene that I'm writing, I actually have to kind of visualize it. I love to give myself this is where I know I'm a terrible person, but this is where I love the whole AI art for, right? Because I can put a concept image in front of me, right? Whereas before I have a whole sketchbook where I was like sketching out the characters and whatnot, or I would have a spreadsheet where I would find images of like actors that I wanted these people to look similar to. So I would like write out their physical description and kind of give it the, they look kind of like this person, right? I would, and I'm just thinking for the one steampunk book that I was working on, where I would like get images of the attire they were wearing or settings and stuff. I put them together in Photoshop. It's like, I got this one scene where they're in like this bar, but it's like a coffee bar kind of thing, but it's all like steampunk shit. So like just a basic little rustic looking restaurant kind of thing with a bar, and then I added pictures of like these giant kegs with steam shit attached to it, like dials and whatnot. I've been writing a series in episodic format. Don't focus on visuals so much, mostly focus on feelings, experiences, everything but what they see. I don't skip over it entirely, but it's light on visuals, heavy on feelings, which is cool. I like that. I do like that. I think that's really super interesting. No, it's just, I love hearing different ways of how people get out their creative expression. You know what I mean? So if yours is focused very much so more on feelings than it is visuals, I think that's cool. I don't know how much I could get into something like that, because I very much need that. I need to picture it. I need that I need to know the aesthetic, James, like send something if you want. That's fine. Yeah, sure, shoot it over. I wouldn't mind taking a look at it. No, that'd be very cool. I think it's really cool to think of like how somebody gets these concepts out, right? The way that I do the book writing, kind of similar to how when I'm focused on writing specific kind of music, right? For a lot of the active corrosion stuff, that is all like trauma outlet and whatnot. Are there pictures? If you got comfy UI, I'm sure you could make them. But yeah, like, for active corrosion, all that stuff for me is getting feelings out, right? So maybe I'm kind of writing in a similar way to how you are in that regard, because that is feelings first as opposed to visuals. Send the first 3 episodes if you like them. I'll send them. Please. Yeah, I'd love to check it out. And then that way I can get an idea for like what your style is and how you're getting that out. Super cool. You guys know how much I love that kind of shit. I'm all about the art. The artistic expression. I got distracted because studying. Shocker. What? You got distracted?
It's an ice box!
What the ever-loving hell? How dare you? Alrighty, I guess I should probably plan on wrapping things up here because, you know, food for kid and all that stuff. Alright, there we go. Give Into Hunger. Patreon.com/Give Into Hunger. Very nice. Box what, huh? I don't know.
Daddy?
That's who I am.
Hey, what time is it?
It's muffin time! Muffin time! Muffin time!
Sorry. I just felt the need. 3 articles open at the moment. Good job. It's not muffin time, I was gonna say. Now I'm waiting for the protest from Chaos. Or... Hey, by the way, Chaos, you have not seen your actual addition into the intro, have you? I don't think you have. Maybe I'll have to show you guys that before we skip out here. Which, yeah, like I said, I should probably get out of here because I should probably cook some food for my kid. But thank all of you for being here. Regardless if you showed up, quote-unquote, late. There's no late, there's no obligation to be here, but I do appreciate all of you being here. And, you know, taking on some learning with me. Do I have a topic for Sunday? No, not yet. I may have it written down somewhere, but if you do have a topic you guys want me to cover, make sure you put it in the Discord. Make sure you put it in the Coach channel. And then that way I can see it and not lose it in DM somewhere. On my Substack, again, I am covering a series in grief and neurodivergent. I think I have 2 articles out on that. Working on the 3rd, which is going to be interesting to put together. I don't know what Sunday's topic is going to be, but yeah, we will be here, hopefully, again, body willing, sometime between 2:30 and 3 Mountain Time. We will find out when I show up. Other than that, I love and appreciate all of you. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you here on Sunday. If you got any follow-up questions or comments or concerns or want the resources that I was pulling from, DM me. My DMs are always open. Love and appreciate you guys. I'm going to roll the intro because Chaos has not seen the new one. And by new one, I mean just one simple little addition, but it pertains to them, so that's kind of the whole reason. After that, we're going to roll creds. And do we have anybody on that I want to raid into, or what do we got here? Oh, we got Cajun and Dan. We got Danny. Excellent. Well, why don't we go see Danny? So I'm going to roll the intro. I'll roll the creds. And then we're going to raid into Damn It Dan. Is what we're going to do. So until Sunday, I'll catch you guys in the Discord. Drink your water. Take your meds. Be kind to yourself. I love your faces. And yeah, we will talk then. Until then, ciao for now, babies.